so far?
Well, they drilled, in 33. I know a group that has got in touch with me from Idaho, and I've given them a whole lot of information, but now they've jumped on board up there. The politicians are trying to get everything pushed through real quick, I guess, and maybe they already have. I think some of that legislation, they already tried to, I think they got pushed through as far as drilling up there. And the folks up there were fighting big time, and of course now that they want to do it here, they want to do it everywhere they can. But there's a one thing that everyone has to realize: what happened to the stock market in 2000? All right, we all got suckered into 401ks and stock. Then they pulled the rug out from under us. Then what did they tell us about two years later or whatever? Real estate. Put your money in real estate. You could hold it. You could touch it. Then what happened? They deregulated banking. You have Fannie Mac, Fannie Mae. Look what happened to the housing industry, right? Another big scam. What do you think's happening here? This is Wall Street too.
Like the Depression and all the rest of it.
That's what's happening here. These guys that are hedging and manipulating the market and everything else. And so that the United States Geological Services, about 2.5, 3 months ago, came out with the research, just like on the Marcellus Shale, that the reserves of the Marcellus Shale that the industry forecasted and estimated they overestimated it by 80%. And the Bloomberg did a good story on it, and they claimed that their information was 60% or better. It was overestimated. But invest your money. Invest your money. You're all going to be shillionaires, right? You're going to be millionaires. And they're sucking it off the top. As a lot of the professors said, this is nothing but a Ponzi scheme. And again, they want to export too. And it's like I tell the people up north, you see all these commercials on TV. Why are you throwing all these commercials out there on TV? They drilled in Pennsylvania before. We never had any commercials. It's all about image. And like I said before, the gas company, these guys are using with the biggest PR firm that the tobacco industry is using. But smoking didn't cause cancer, did it? And it took how many years for that to all come to a head? And all the lobbying that goes on in D.C., all the lobbying that goes on, and yeah, you need fuel. I understand that. We need energy. Things got to be done right. But we need to be going to renewables. We need to be looking other directions. You've always got, everything doesn't last forever. And they lobby against it. So it gets shut down. Things have need to change. Things, and it's all of you that have to make a change. You all have to stick together, and you all have to communicate by what's happening. You need to stay in touch with each other.
Yeah, I'd like to say that I did some calling to get people to help people be aware about what was about your visit and about the event last night and today. And I'm not going to say which county, but one of the counties that is slated to have fracking start in June, I was calling the county board members. And some of the board members didn't know what fracking was. And so, why is fracking coming here and county board members don't know what it is? One of the individuals had actually mentioned that they had sold their rights already. So it seems like, the horse and the cart are in the wrong places, and we need to get out there and just share information with our friends, make sure that our elected officials and our county board members know about this. Because I think that the evidence is overwhelming. If a bank won't mortgage land that has been fracked, you're never going to be able to sell your property once it's fracked.
This came out, this was back in 4/30 of 2010. Banks refusing to lend on gas leased properties. And you know, they had a list: First Place Bank, Provident Funding, GMAC, Wells Fargo, FNCB, FHA, First Liberty, Bank of America. I mean, there's a number of them. I'm sure there's a whole lot more now. And here's something else. I read this. I read this every place I go. Tony Ingraffia, who is a professor at Cornell, he was talking. Actually, they had a debate, a live debate, and this was with Dr. Terry Ingelder from Penn State, because Penn State has been the shield for the Marcellus Shale Coalition. And this is Dr. Ingraffia talking. This is a corporate business plan, not a national energy strategy. Dr. Antonio Ingraffia, speaking of the current rush to drill that is utterly lacking in any comprehensive plan. And this is Dr. Ingelder responding. This is a complex industry that will not learn unless they practice. We need to give them space to figure it out. I come from the religion that the industry will do it right. Dr. Terry Ingelder referring to the gas industry's need to be given time and space here in PA so they can learn how to drill wells correctly. Ingelder, quoted from John F. Kennedy, informed those present that PA citizens must be willing to make sacrifices to allow this practice to occur. Dr. Ingraffia, who noted that over 10,000 deep shale wells have already been drilled in Texas, Ingraffia questioned how much more practice the gas industry might need to get it right, and how much will they have to sacrifice in order for the industry to fully implement its business plan. And one more thing. If you want to see what's been happening in Western Pennsylvania, a website, marcellus-shale.us. I encourage you to look at it, marcellus-shale.us. There was also a paper put out, The Impacts of Gas Drilling on Human and Animal Health, and this is by Dr. Michelle Bamberger and Robert Oswald. They're both professors at Cornell. And Michelle Bamberger, Dr. Michelle Bamberger, she is also a vet. And this is under peer review. It's very powerful. Farmers, everyone needs to see this. If you can make copies or whatever, I don't know how. It's got to be circulated. This thing has gone pretty much. I mean, it's gone global. And a lot of the scientists, professors from other universities are, after reading it, they're absolutely blown away, and they agree that research has to be done. We have a facility in southwestern Pennsylvania, and I don't think I said this. I had Terry and his wife go there. Southwestern Pennsylvania Environmental Health. And this facility is set up for the people who are affected from the drilling. And they only opened up a couple months ago. They're overwhelmed, what they're seeing.
How do you spell Marcellus?
Marcellus -shale.us. And so another site you need to take a look at, just type in Drilling the West. You want to see what's happened out west? National Geographic did this story back in 2008. Drilling the West. Type it in. You'll be blown away.
We need Oprah.
Right. I just wanted to let people know that Terry has actually sent us a multitude of really amazing resources that we are in the process of really organizing so that people have some references. And I'm not sure if this was, pardon?
You mean me?
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm doing that all day, all weekend long. I'm calling him Ron and calling you Terry. Sorry. Ron has been sending all these really great resources that we're organizing in such a way. I'm not sure if this was mentioned last night, but you've already met that we have a water committee that's doing water testing. And so I would encourage everybody, there's a sign-up sheet going around on Ron's note of like people communicate with each other. I just want you guys to know that we have a small little grassroots organization that's formed. And since our last meeting in Carbondale, We've had 4 committees. We have a legal committee. We've got about 4 or 5 attorneys that are working hard to create ordinances for counties. We have, I offered maybe have Chuck speak a little bit about that. I don't know if that's something we want to take time for. But anyway, I just wanted you to know that we're organizing to have an outreach committee so that we can do more of these events. And what we're really trying to do is get real specific and real organized, so that I just want you to know that we could use help. Any way, shape, or form. We can use contributions for printing flyers and putting newspapers ads in. We can use contribution in terms of time and effort and energy from people to make phone calls or to help organize events. We actually right now don't have anybody on our media or communications team. So there are things that you can do, and probably the number one thing is get educated, which I think is Ron is doing a great job of helping us know what those are. But anyway, I just wanted you to know that we're trying. We're working towards doing some very concrete things to get a ban. Hopefully, Terry and Ron will maybe help us flesh out some very specific things, because over at breakfast this morning, Terry was telling me some things that I would never have thought of to put in a county ordinance that might have to do with the type of brake systems that should be or should not be allowed on trucks that damage roads. So there's all these little nuances. You probably all know by now, but S.A.F.E stands for a ban on fracking, and that's what we're ultimately moving forward. But at the same token, while we're pursuing a ban, simultaneously, we're also pursuing ways to create legislation for county ordinances, so that if for some reason a county might not go for a ban, perhaps they would go for regulating so many different aspects of it to make it possibly unfeasible for people to even want to come in and do fracking. But there's, as you know, it's an overwhelming and convoluted and complicated subject, and we're, Ron said the same thing. He goes, I'm inundated with emails and calls and, all this information, and so we're trying our best to really organize it. And so if you do have some time, please use the sign-up sheet. If you don't have email, that's fine. Just give us a phone number. We'd be really, really, really happy to connect with anybody that just, and you don't have to get involved full-time or even part-time. Sometimes one person doing one little job is really, really, really helpful. So I just wanted to mention that.
One thing, too, that the gal mentioned before as far as the fracking and the water, they take all this fresh water and then they contaminate it. And with the droughts in eastern Pennsylvania is having issues with water, from what I understand now. And they've been sucking out of the Susquehanna. But their spin, their chemicals that are underneath your kitchen sink, right, that you use. That was their spin from day one. Okay, and they only use 0.5%. Okay, well, 0.5%, and the rest is water and sand and hydrochloric acid. Okay, so then you do the math. All right, so let's see, 0.5% of 1,000,000 gallons, so that's what, 5,000 gallon. Okay, now you could use up as high as 7 million gallon. Wow. That's a lot of chemicals, isn't it? Do the math. 35,000 gallon. Now that's under your property. But it's going to stay down there. It's not coming back up. All the chemicals stay. Right.